Welcome to this radio channel, and this is a quick look and review of the Eton Traveler 3 Grundig edition. And this is, of course, a portable shortwave radio, and it is in the price range anywhere from about $40 to $60, $65, $70, depending on where you buy it. Available on Amazon, on eBay. It is available at different shortwave outlets. Once again, this is a model that has been in production for quite a few years, but it's still being sold and it's still available. It's a nice little portable receiver. It's not very big. This was the first surprise probably when I received it, but it is a very capable radio. Now, it does not have single sideband, so if you're looking for a radio with single sideband, you will have to purchase something else. So it has a very unique design, but it's a design that follows the Traveler series with this little door that opens up here, and then that shows you a world map, and also shows you this little slider here where you can turn and change the time. So if you look on the display, when I turn, it changes the time of the display, because you can see your local time versus UTC time, for example, and stuff like that. This is kind of unique, but you know what, I would have preferred you don't put this and maybe you add a keypad. Would have been a better use of that space, a little keypad to enter the frequencies. So it covers shortwave, AM, FM, and long wave. And of course, with depending on which region you are, there's the expanded AM band and FM bands available. And the tuning of this radio goes from, well, basically, let's just turn it on here. So here we go. So this radio goes very, very low in frequency, typically starting at a very low frequency range of the 120 meter band. So it has pretty much every shortwave band, starting at 2.3 megahertz all the way up to 26.1 megahertz, and it is continuous. That means that from 2300 kilohertz you can tune continuously without any gaps onto the 11 meter band, which is 26,100 at the top end. So that's a good thing, because a lot of these radios, when they have specific bands, the major problem that arises from that is the fact that it misses out on certain frequencies of stations that are a little bit out of bound. So by having a continuous tuning, actually works well. So I told you I would have preferred to have a keypad. This radio would have really been nice with a little keypad. It would have added some points to it, that's for sure. But still, you know what? I actually still enjoy tuning it, because now you're thinking, no keypad. If I want to move from 6020 to 20 megahertz, you know, how fast can I do that? Well, I will, of course, you can first of all use some of the 500 memory channels available and tune yourself through these channels. But the up-down buttons that go through the international broadcast band, first of all, help you go quite easily from one end to the other in a band. And then there's the very fast tuning functionality. So when you start tuning really fast with the button, you see, you now increased, and where I was tuning at 100 kilohertz per step at some point when it detects that you want to go really fast. So you can see that I went from 6020 to 20,000 kilohertz in a pretty short amount of time for a radio that doesn't have a tuning, a keypad, basically. So it doesn't, you know, I get annoyed with radio with no keypad, but I gotta say, I am not getting annoyed on this one, because these functionalities make it super easy to tune very rapidly from one end to the other in the band. The lights, of course, can stay on. The indications here on the display, of course, clock separate from the frequency. This is very useful because, you know, you tune around and you're like, okay, well, I'm tuning around, but you know, I want to know what UTC time it is. Well, you can have that separately displayed. And by the way, the display has that as alarm, as the temperature if you want, and you can have the signal to noise ratio type signal indication in here. Of course, radio has a timer as an alarm if you want, and all complete. Amber display that can stay on all the time if you want. It is a very, very, very nice radio. Display is beautiful. One little drawback that I give to this radio is, yeah, in strong sunlight, it's a little difficult to maybe tune and see where you are in the frequency ranges, but not that bad. You know, you can find a certain angle where you see the numbers. Okay, how about the radios outside? First of all, okay, on the left side, you have the earphone jack. You've got power connector. On the right side, you've got the tuning button. You've got the volume control. And on the front panel, you've got the up-down buttons that are also scanning buttons. So if you want to scan a frequency range, you can just hold it and it starts scanning up in a frequency range as you wish. You are, of course, have the possibility to move into FM, to AM, long wave. So depending on the button you'll press, you can change what frequency range you're on. You got a snooze for the alarm. You've got the light button here. You've got the steps, the different steps for the tuning. So that's why you got really fast tuning steps if you want with the tuning dial. And of course, there's the display button where you choose and revolve between the different options of, you know, temperature, time, or the signal to noise ratio display, and on-off button on the upper right corner. Speakers here on the left side, and one little surprising thing on this is that even though the speaker is small, it actually has a very beautiful sound. It's not, you know, hi-fi, but it is enjoyable to listen to. You know, I was talking on another video of the Eton Mini, which I can show you right here, and I told you, well, you know what, if you compare the size of the speakers, they're close. It's just that this one doesn't have a lot of space, so the speaker is kind of really, you know, small in it. It's kind of squeezed in there. Where this one is a thicker radio, so the speaker probably is different. Sound quality is quite interesting. Now, this radio has a silicon integrated 4730 something shortwave radio with DSP. It's a full radio on a chip, basically, with digital signal processing. It is very sensitive. I would say that this radio is pretty surprising on the sensitivity scale. It is maybe not a DX radio, but it is a darn good radio, and compared to my Eton Mini, it actually is more sensitive. It will pick up stations better. And the sound quality is really good. One of the things that this radio also we enjoy, that silicon integrated chips, the DSP chip, is of course a chip that has several bandwidths available. And on one of my radios, the Texan PL380, I can actually, you know, choose 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 kilohertz of bandwidth, which means that I can actually remove some of the interference from really close by stations by just making the bandwidth a little smaller and remove the adjacent interference. Now, you can't choose it here, but they already chosen what I deem to be around 4 kilohertz. And it shows because the sound is slightly more in the level of lower frequencies, bass frequencies, than it kind of clips out on the very high frequencies. But it's well chosen because the audio is still good, and because it's 4 kilohertz, it actually makes this radio really nice to tune around when you're next to strong stations. For example, on medium wave, I've had tons of fun with it because the 4 kilohertz bandwidth means that I was able to actually listen in to some US stations on 810 kilohertz or 790 kilohertz, and that is next to a powerhouse Montreal station on 800 kilohertz. That typically makes it very difficult to tune, you know, on either side. And this radio is actually capable of doing that, which is very nice. Performance on shortwave is really good. Performance on medium wave is very good, and performance on FM is also equally good. So it's a nice radio for that. It's very sensitive. Really, really like it. Of course, it has this little hinge to put it at an angle on the table. It uses 4 AA batteries, and it is just a beautiful little radio to operate. If you're looking for something not too expensive, quite compact, to maybe, you know, go on a trip or something, or to, you know, just pop up a little radio in your bag and you're going hiking or whatever. Well, this radio is great for that. It's not big, and it really does a nice job at picking up stations. Of course, you can plug in a little, antenna on it, a wire antenna. One of the little drawbacks, but it's not huge, there's a slight breakthrough of FM stations in certain frequency ranges on shortwave here. That is common on a lot of radios, especially here because I have a lot of strong stations. But I have to say, it's not strong enough to be much of a nuisance. I have other radios that is just so strong that it's, just blocks everything. On this one, it's actually not too bad at all. Batteries last a really long time. I mean, I'm still on the same set of batteries since I've got those. And I mean, the battery's still full, and I used it for, several dozen hours. So it shows you that it doesn't take a lot of batteries. Sound quality is good. One little drawback, once again, it's noisy outside. You might find that the full volume is not necessarily strong enough. So that's one little thing that you'll have to understand, that the full volume is not necessarily the strong enough on certain circumstances. One weird thing also that I've noticed with this radio is when you tune around, so I told you it has a DSP chip, so it has a very weird way of having, when signals are going up and down on shortwave, has a weird way, it sounds weird when, signals disappear and come back. It's kind of drops off suddenly. One of the things that's also weird is when you tune around a station, it seems like sometimes it doesn't lock on it as the same, and the volume is not as strong, and then you tune off and you tune back on it, and it's better for some reason, as if the lock maybe that it has when you go on the frequency doesn't lock all the time equally or on the same way. I don't know, it's very weird to explain. That's one of the weird things of the DSP side to this radio. So Eton Traveler 3 Grundig edition, a nice little radio if you're looking for something that performs well, is not too big, not too expensive. You can check out this radio. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up, and thank you for watching our videos.